Going in the order of the study guide for the Unit 9 exam stars. In the first chapter, there was no vocab, but I added the word albedo. A-L-B-E-D-O, which is the reflectiveness or shininess of a surface. Like an icy cloud has a greater albedo than sandstone bedrock. Criteria pollutant gets a star. The distinction between primary and secondary gets a star. Global dimming gets a star. The two types of smog, photochemical and sulfurous. 1 trillion stars, because you've got to know the whole connection between the pieces. Coal, SOx, sulfurous smog is gray, makes acids. You got to know all that.
Okay, so a trillion stars?
Yeah, trillion, you can write that down. And cars makes NOx, which makes photochemical smog, which is brown, which is the Los Angeles type, which has oxidants. That whole set of you got to know all that. So whether it's in your notes or in the vocab, make sure you doctor it. Scrubbing gets 2 stars. Study goal number 3, where the movie listed the greenhouse gases, that's pretty much just straight wrong. You know that your movies are old, and in the mid-1980s, we ranked the greenhouse gases differently. Now that we are in the 2010s, study goal 21 has the accurate rating of greenhouse gases. Study goal 3 that you got from the movie is outdated and wrong. Do not use study goal 3. It's outdated. Number 4 gets a star. Number 6 gets a star. Number 8 is the only typo I'm aware of in the movie series. A completely typo. Number 8 says the higher clouds trap more heat, and that is backwards. We've learned a lot more about the atmosphere. If you wrote down an answer in number 8, check your notes. It's assignment 9.1. It is assignment 9.1. I'd like you to please switch your answers to 9.1. Please switch your answers. Study goal number 8, assignment 9.1. Those of you who take movies during the notes, you copied the wrong thing. To take notes during the movie, you copied the wrong thing. So here comes the right thing, for once and for all. Okay, number 8, high clouds, more reflective, cool the earth. Low clouds, positive feedback, increase greenhouse effect. Number 11, 1 star. Number 12, 1 star for the observations we made during lecture. There were 6 things about the atmosphere that I said you'll have to remember. Those 6 gets a star. 13 gets a star. Or 2 actually, I'm sorry. Number 16 gets 1 star. 17 gets 2 stars. 19 gets a star, 20 gets 2, 21 gets 3 stars.
20 or
20 gets 2 stars and 21 gets 3 stars. In study goal number 22, I added a vocab term. Rose is a rain on snow event. That just showed up in the news last week when there was a report that the Sierra Nevadas of California are expecting a lot of roses in the spring. '23 gets a star because I am convinced the College Board is going to put El Nino on the AP test.
Wait, how many stars is 22?
Who's on what now?
How many stars is 22?
23 gets that star because I'm convinced they're going to put El Nino on the AP exam. 24 gets 2 because I love vacuums. In study goal 25, I corrected your book. Global temperature rise has been 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 0.9 degrees Celsius. 27 gets 2 stars, 28 gets 3 stars. 29 gets a star, 30 gets 2. 31 is a 3-star study goal. So we skip a few. 35 gets a star, 37 gets a star, 39 gets 2. Skip 40, 41 gets 2, 42 gets 3.
Your brother is saying
43 gets 1 star. And now we get to the reader questions. I really like this reader. It has a lot of like interesting, quirky, unique things. I'll just go through a few of the articles and things that I need to clear up. 42 says, how does acid rain affect soil and ecosystem toxicology? 47. Am I looking at the wrong reader? Can I look at yours?
No.
These are 42.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a metaphor that's going to help us later. Has anybody seen a television show, I think called Defiance or something, on Amazon streaming, the Amazon Prime streaming? I can't imagine many of you are Amazon Prime members uniquely, so you probably don't stream video on Amazon. They have like a couple of shows anyway. It's good interface. Good app. There's a show I think called Defiance. It's about a city in like Norway on the Arctic Circle, where like creepy crime fiction, beautiful cinematography. It's a one-man show. And anyway, it's set near a glacier where global warming is increasing the melt rate of the glacier. And because the glacier is melting quickly, it exposes skeletons of woolly mammoths. Okay, this is my setup. Is global warming making mammoths? Or does global warming speed up their return to our ecosystem? Speeds up their return to the ecosystem, right? It's just melting the glacier. They're in the glacier anyway. More global warming, they melt faster, right? Yeah, right. Fine. What I'm trying to get at is that also correct. Yes, he's good. I'm glad we all agree. They are just bones. He's fossil. The reason I mentioned this acid rain doesn't make water toxic because there's new toxins in the acid rain. If you have toxins present in bedrock, acid rain weathers them more quickly, so you'll have more in the water. I'll give you an example. Just like if you live in that Arctic Circle, Norway, there's fossils in the glacier. Here in Santa Barbara, we have uranium in our bedrock. Okay? That's because of where we live and that's what we got around here. Because of acid rain, we have more uranium in our runoff. That's not because the rain is making the uranium. The rain is just accelerating their release if present in our rocks. Accelerates their release. Are we okay with that? Key distinction about toxins and water quality and acid rain. Yes?
So that will also see the yellow ions and acid rain doesn't create those, but it just takes them like these things.
That's right. That's right. Makes them more resilient. Like if they were somehow not present in your dirt, it's not like you gotta worry about acid rain making them somehow. But where they are naturally occurring, they're gonna be more available because they're gonna be freed up. 48 is simple. 49 and 50 are purely politics. How many of you discuss political issues with your family or friends because you're just personally interested in political issues? So for those of you who don't care about politics, just go to sleep for a minute. Those of you who do, if you look at Article 49, that's literally a decade old, but it is photographic evidence that political appointees change the words in government research on climate change. The guy in charge of the White House Council on Environmental Quality was a lobbyist for the American Petroleum Institute. And the largest cohort of government scientists studying climate change gave him an article to publish, and he was like, maybe climate change might be caused by humans, bad for agriculture, but it might be fun anyway. And like, totally, imagine if that happened for like tobacco, where all the doctors are like, you know it causes cancer, and some tobacco lobbyists edited that to say it could maybe cause cancer, but it's also really fun, it makes you sexy. If the government publishes might cause cancer and it makes you sexy, people are like, yeah, whatever, no big deal, there's a lot of doubt. Well, the scientist was saying, like, no doubt. There's literally, you can see it for yourself, like, it's not fake. Published in 2006, you can see the dude's handwritten edits to make it sound like there was doubt about climate change and human role in that. Is that not fascinating? Am I the only dork that's interested in that?
What is the propaganda that he uses?
I think he is propagandizing his publication. Oh yeah, so introduce uncertainty where there is none, look on the bright side, portray it as the price of progress, keep it theoretical and very conventional, inconvenient usage. Hey buddy, thanks for coming so fast, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know you got a lot of things to do. I had these two things that I wanted to download, my application to run my camera, and my 3 countdown timers, like a little flash plugin.
Can I log out?
Of course. If you need it, I have a new password. It's temporary because I have a sub coming. That's why I need to do that. Yes. Yes. No. I just throw this in because honestly, like, some kids aren't that into the science department. They care more about the politics, and I'm a political person, and I kind of want to remind my students that there is like real world relevancy to what happens in science. But no, you do not need to know politics for the AP test at all. 0. Yes.
So that hasn't never talked to them.
Not to my knowledge, and as a matter of fact, I believe he kept his job. education, and so the next time that they were like due to assign him to work, he was replaced. But I think he like served his contract. You know, those people are appointed, those are political appointees. When you hear that term, that means like, if Connor's my homie, I could be like, Connor, you're in charge of like sex appeal for America, and that's like, that's just the job I can do. Yeah.
Is this the type of stuff that like we learn about political science?
I don't know political science. Political science is like, kind of like this. You can teach a really general set of like academic truisms, and then your teacher will give you some form of bias from wherever they are on the political spectrum. Like I'm perfectly aware that I have a political bias. I'm not sure if political science would necessarily be current events, but I've had political science independent. I had a great political science teacher after I finished college. I never had a good one until after college. To get a credential, I had to take like a super anti-team class, like Government in America or something. Oh, that's literally the word temporary. Anybody else? I don't want to waste your time on this. This is just like a FYI. Yeah. I don't. I don't. My hunch would be no. That this is a presidential cabinet job. So each president chooses theirs. George Bush thought that the right guy would be someone from the energy sector because he had a lot of faith that the American economy would improve if we sort of swarmed the spectrum toward the energy sector. So that's what he brought. Then when Obama takes over, then he gets whoever he thinks is the right person to push his agenda. But my hunch would be probably some relatively widely liberal on that. Anybody else? I don't even know that. I might recommend it. Number 51 gets a star. Interestingly, yes. Live cam send download. Yeah, that. Okay, sorry, back to me. Number 51. Forgive me, I'm sorry. I'm trying to dial in this new computer. One of the biggest mass extinctions ever was tied to a shift in the ocean conveyor belt current that was caused by rapid climate change. So that thing that we were talking about before with the ocean conveyor belt and Greenland melting and stuff, there's evidence that something similar to that happened before. The continents were in different arrangement, so the currents then were different. But deep, large volume currents were responsible for one of the biggest extinctions before. That's number 51, and I find it interesting. Number 52 might be worth a star, might not. When I heard this, I thought it must be a typo. How on earth could a gallon of gasoline, which you know is lighter than water, gasoline floats on water, and water weighs 7 3/4 of a gallon? No, sorry, 7 3/4 of a pound per gallon. I thought, how could that weigh something less than 7 pounds and make 20 pounds of a gas? And I don't know about you, but to me that just seems kind of counterintuitive and hard to get in my head because like gases float and liquids have a higher density, so they sit still. And how do you make something heavier at the same time that have a lower density? And I asked a chemistry teacher, a friend of mine, like, dude, is this like bogus? Am I just teaching my students a lie? And they're like, no, stupid. What does it mean to burn? And I was like, I don't know. It's like combustion. What's combustion? I was like, I don't know. You catch on fire? He's like, yeah, well, I'm going to give it glow. Yeah.
Oh, should I go ahead?
It's up to her. She has the right to learn. So what does it mean to do combustion at the chemical level?
Oxidation reaction.
Oxidation. So students, here's your warm-up and number 52 at the same time. You know, I think it's a concept that you need. That's why it said it has a star question mark. Like, probably 20% of my students are like, yeah, obviously. And it's just not something that I had put together, so I just kind of think you might want to have this concept in your brain. Watch. Gasoline is a hydrocarbon. It's made of carbon and hydrogen. And if you see those red numbers, their atomic weights are something like about 1 atomic mass unit and a 12 atomic mass units. But watch this. Burning is attaching oxygen. So you turn your hydrocarbon into a bunch of CO2, and all those oxygens are much heavier. For every 12 atomic mass units of carbon, you're going to add 32 atomic mass units of oxygen. So burning gasoline into CO2 makes things heavier because you're sticking on oxygen, which is heavy. I don't know if that's going to be on the AP test, so don't ask. Yeah? Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah. On the flip side, you're shaving off hydrogens. So you go from the previous to being heavier because of the oxygen, but a little bit lighter because of the hydrogen. Yeah, some amount of hydrogen is lost, but the overall gain weight is right. And the math is in the reader. You can actually see it like in the middle. There's like the exact. Yeah. Yes?
So we just need to know like the overall concept. I know this is a question mark, but like, because I don't really understand the whole math part of it, but I understand the AP of it.
I think we're good there.
Okay.
Because I can't imagine that they're going to ask you to do this math from like how, that's not an APES thing. So no, I don't think you need that exact math that you calculated in the article. Okay, fine. 53, 54, no big deal. 55, 2 stars. Ocean acidification, if you'll notice that article was written by scientists at UCS Brodog. Your hometown is literally like the beginning of ocean acidification science. 56, 2 stars. And 58, just interesting. Just plain like cool science about the planet where we live. Watch me. Because of climate change, grizzly bears have to go further north to find something cold. But polar bears are coming further south because they're running out of sea ice to feed on. So where grizzly bears and polar bears used to live in a different part of the world, they now overlap. And I guess they're down. They like see each other and go like, all right. And they're like willing to experiment. And they're making roller / grizzly bears. Which is like kind of a funny visual.
Wait. Kind of like a lighter, but it's even bigger.
It's just like a liger, except they're a little. They look kind of like a pea-stained polar bear, like they've been rolling around in like urine or something. They're just like slightly yellower than a. Yeah, they just look a little bit yellowish. They look like a slightly fugly polar bear. Yeah. Yeah, precisely. They just look like a dirty polar bear.
That's too personal. They're kind of cute.
They're totally cute. But here comes the really depressing stuff that I just find super fascinating.
Oh.
Wait, back to me. Back to me.
Baby ones are so cute.
All baby bears are cute. All baby bears are cute. Here comes the science part of this conversation finally, if you'll please stop it with the cell phones and the baby bears. God, everybody got the same baby bear picture, now move on. Here's, quit it. No, too bad. That's what you get for sleeping on the job. Shut up. It turns out that they suffer from something called hybrid disadvantage, which is a valuable ecology term, that they don't carry the appropriate genes for either of their jobs. So when you breed polar and grizzly bears, you get grizzly bears that suck at grizzly job or polar bears that suck at polar job because they don't have all the genes required for either job. And so there's a thing called hybrid disadvantage, where their fitness is overall lower than the original species. And there's this fear that they are lowering the overall success of both species. They are polluting the gene pool of polar or grizzly bears. And I find the most fascinating thing that if you look at the DNA of bears who've had negative encounters with humans, there's been a rise in many parts of the world in violent encounters with grizzly bears and polar bears. Apparently, almost all, or like a huge majority of those violent encounters are the hybrids. And a lot of people suggest that the hybrid is more violent. But another interesting possibility is because they suck at doing bear stuff, they're more likely to have negative encounters with humans because they're desperate. It's like, I can't find grizzly food and I can't find polar bear food, but Connor looks pretty wimpy, and then they like try to take Connor's food. Yeah.
Would there, like, in any chance be like a edge effect almost? Like where the two is polar and that's where they could survive normally?
I don't know. Interesting, I don't know. He said, is there an edge effect issue? I think that they are less fit than both species in the edge effect. Last fun fact, how many of you know Maggie Wild? Her grandmother in Norway has like a 4-line scar on her face where she was slapped by a grizzly bear she found in her cabin. Damn. Yeah. She's like, no big deal. I was like, that's a big deal, bro. Okay, 59, 2 stars. Geoengineering is fascinating, and that article has all these really good ideas about it. I think I told you before that there's a lot of scientists who suggest that we should like try something else with our ongoing science experiment, with our climate experiment. Last thing, the final questions on the second movie, there were like 60 to 64 maybe. 1 star for 60, 2 for 61, 2 for 62, and we're done with stars. Let's do something.
Oh, yeah.